2 years ago, I made a decision that still sends chills down my spine. It wasn't dramatic at the time, just a tired person making a questionable call on a dark road late at night. I'd spent the weekend at a family reunion about 2 hours from home. I wanted to stay the night like everyone else, but work wouldn't allow it. So around 9 p.m., I said my goodbyes, climbed into my car, and headed home, through the kind of roads horror movies were made, for dense walls of trees pressing against both sides of the asphalt, no street lights, no houses, just darkness in every direction. For the first half hour I managed fine. Music on, window cracked, lukewarm gas station, coffee in the cup holder. Then, around the 4 or 5 minute mark, exhaustion hit me like a wall. Not the gradual kind, the sudden, violent kind, where one moment you're alert and the next your eyelids feel like lead. I knew I wasn't going to make it home. I spotted a gap in the bushes on the left side of the road, a patch of flattened grass just wide enough to pull onto. Not ideal, but my body had already made the decision. I nosed the car behind the bushes, killed the engine, checked the clock, locked the doors, and reclined my seat. 11:22 p.m. I was asleep within minutes. The first thing that woke me was scratching. Slow, deliberate, rhythmic, like something being carefully dragged across metal, coming from the rear of the car. I jolted upright, heart hammering. 11:50 p.m. I sat completely still and listened. The scratching stopped. Silence flooded back in the heavy rural kind with nothing behind it. I waited. Nothing came. I told myself it was an animal, reclined my seat, and forced my eyes shut. When I woke again, the scratching had returned. 12:40 a.m. This time it wasn't stopping. Patient, continuous, moving slowly along the rear of the car as though searching for something. And something nagged at me that I couldn't shake. Why would an animal come back nearly an hour after losing interest? Animals don't do that. I turned slowly toward the rearview mirror. For a fraction of a second, I caught a glimpse of something. A dark shape, fast and low, already disappearing into the tree line before I could process what I was seeing. Gone in an instant, swallowed by the darkness between the trees. Every rational thought evaporated. My mind went straight to the Hook Man, the old urban legend about the killer who scratched at parked cars until someone got out to investigate. I knew it was a legend. I did not care. Every nerve in my body was screaming. I started the car and pulled back onto the road. I accelerated hard, hands locked on the wheel, eyes jumping between the road and the mirror. Nothing behind me, just empty darkness. There was a bend about 100 yards ahead. I came around it and immediately took my foot off the gas. A car was parked on the shoulder with the driver's side door hanging wide open. No hazard lights, no sign of anyone inside. I slowed just enough to look as I passed. Empty seats, nobody there. I checked my mirror. Nothing, just empty road and the abandoned car fading into the darkness behind me. I started to accelerate again. Then he came around the bend, running. Full sprint, the desperate kind that doesn't belong on a quiet country road at 1 in the morning. He came around the corner screaming at me, arms waving above his head, closing the distance faster than seemed possible. "Hey, get out of the car! Get out now!" I drove. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. I just drove until the road behind me was empty and his voice had disappeared into the dark. I made it home around 2 a.m. and sat in my driveway for a long time before going inside. I never found out who he was. I never found out what was scratching at my car. Maybe there were perfectly ordinary explanations for all of it. But I've never slept on the side of a road since. Don't. I was 17, fresh license in my wallet, and drunk on the kind of freedom only a new driver understands. My friends and I had made a hobby of hunting down abandoned properties around town, places we could throw parties without anyone bothering us. We'd found a few decent spots, but nothing truly special. Until I found the house. Every day driving home from work, I'd pass this massive, unfinished shell sitting back from the road on an enormous stretch of overgrown property. Someone had clearly poured serious money into it before disappearing entirely. The frame was huge, the lot behind it swallowed by wild grass and trees. I told my friend Marcus about it, and one evening before a movie, I swung by to show him. It was summer dusk. My headlights were already on as I rolled slowly up the gravel toward the house. We sat there maybe 10 seconds, just long enough to take it in, before I reversed back toward the main road. That's when the high beams appeared behind us. Blinding white light flooded my mirrors, and whoever it was riding dangerously close to our bumper. Marcus and I exchanged a glance, but said nothing. Probably a coincidence. When I turned right onto the main road, the truck turned right too. Still there, still blazing. Then it gunned its engine, swung around us, and cut across the gas station on the corner, screeching to a stop at an angle that completely blocked our path. The door swung open, and out stepped the biggest man I'd ever seen. Enormous, broad, heavy, deliberate. As he walked toward my window, I noticed something that turned my blood cold. This was a busy road, cars everywhere just seconds ago, but now the street was completely, impossibly empty. He knocked on my window, 3 slow, heavy raps. I rolled it down with trembling hands. He leaned down and looked at both of us carefully. "What were you boys doing back there at that house?" Some survival instinct bypassed my brain entirely. "Just making a U-turn, sir. Missed our street." Silence. He stared at me, then Marcus, then back at me. The seconds were agonizing. Then he smiled slow and unreadable and patted the roof of the car. "All right, you boys have a good night." He walked back to his truck and was gone. Marcus and I drove in complete silence for miles, the movie long forgotten. That house still sits there today, unfinished, unchanged, no construction, no sale, nothing. I don't slow down when I pass it anymore. It was the dead of night, somewhere around 2 a.m., when I found myself completely alone on the edge of town, sitting at a red light that felt like it sat at the boundary between two worlds. Behind me, the familiar glow of city lights flickered in my rearview mirror. Ahead of me stretched nothing but darkness, endless cornfields and shelter belts swallowed by the black of night. There were no other cars, no other people, just me, the hum of my engine, and the kind of silence that only exists in the earliest hours of the morning. I had been driving home from my boyfriend's house, tired and running on that late-night autopilot mode that most drivers know too well. The red light was an inconvenience, but I stopped anyway, waiting patiently even though not a single soul was around to justify it. Then something caught my eye. A flicker of movement in my peripherals, subtle, but enough to snap me out of my daze. Given where I was, surrounded by open farmland, my mind immediately jumped to the most logical explanation: a deer. It wouldn't have been unusual. Animals wandered near the road all the time out here. I turned my head casually, expecting to see the glassy eyes of some four-legged creature edging toward the road. Instead, I locked eyes with a man. He appeared to be in his 50s, and he was creeping, not walking, not jogging, deliberately and slowly creeping toward my car through the darkness. The moment our eyes met, he froze, completely still, like a predator caught mid-stalk, suddenly forced to recalculate his next move. And that's when I saw it. In his hand, he was gripping a tire iron. My body reacted before my mind could fully process what was happening. I didn't wait for the light to turn green. I didn't think twice. I floored it, ran that red light without a single moment of hesitation, and sped away as fast as my car would carry me, heart hammering violently in my chest, hands white-knuckling the steering wheel. I never found out who he was or what he had planned. Honestly, I didn't need to. The tire iron said everything. That night changed something in me permanently. A vulnerability I'd never considered before being alone. Stopped, enclosed in glass and metal, while darkness hides what lurks outside, became very real. From that night forward, I never sat at a red light the same way again. And the first thing I do every single time I get in my car, I lock the doors. Comment below your scariest late-night road encounter. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this stories. You might never see this channel again.